Are we on? Hey guys, it's Michael here with Literally Michael, and I've got Audit LA with me, and I have Mona. Someone's new to our team, so we're excited to introduce everybody today. I'm going to start with Audit. Some of you may know Audit, but here's Audit. Audit, just give a few minutes or a few seconds of who you are and what your mission is, and why you're here protecting the kids. And our whole goal is no more kids in Scientology.
Yes, Audit LA. Anyone that knows me, I'm really passionate about this. It was Serge who got me passionate. At first, I was just curious about these protests going on, and I was in at the very beginning. Almost. I mean, like not day one, but very close. And I was just observing. But it was Serge who, he allowed me to interview him, which was great, and so did Laura. And they convinced me that this is something that I have to devote my time and efforts to. And so here I am, and here we are. Me and Bike Guy, if you know Bike Guy and myself, we're involved both. We do in person protesting when we can, but I'm also trying to do a lot behind the scenes. I'm the one that's been going to the neighborhood councils. Well, literally, Mike and Sarge, and too. But I'm really interested in that aspect of it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Audit, for being here. And next we have our lovely Mona. She has joined Audit and I in some background work, what we're doing here in the city of Los Angeles. And let's say hello to Mona, everybody. And if you guys are not following Mona, do me a favor. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button for Mona. She's new to the world of YouTube and live stream, and we want to get her numbers up so she can actually speak her voice and what's going on in her world. So if you're not following her yet, be sure to follow her. Mona, give us a few seconds on yourself and say hello to the people that are following us right now.
I will. I'm a wife, mother, grandmother. I changed my name from the M. Macauley's to Fat Grammy because that's just what I am. I'm a very successful Fat Grammy right now. Happened to be a paraplegic and blew out both of my shoulders this last winter. And so, as you can see, I am stuck in bed for the last couple of months. Hence, it's given me a lot of time to watch YouTube. Kind of got involved watching some crazy ass guy with a cape and crown one day over at the testing center that just made me crack up laugh. I don't know why. So then I started going, well, geez, what in the hell is this all about? And I caught up with Serge's story, Laura's story, Nora, Liz, and just became just enraptured in the horrible atrocities that has been happening. Kind of listened to Go on the Poe or Poe on the Go. And he's like, well, if you can do anything, just do something that's better than nothing. And I thought, I'm sitting here in bed. I can do something. So I started doing commission meeting research and looking at the different possibilities of what I could do from here. And that's how we got started. So my hat's off to the whole team, the whole community. We are a community. And I feel like I'm in a community.
You are in a community. And, saying the community, one of the biggest things we have here, which is so beautiful, is like all our subscribers, everybody that's watching us today. We have, I believe, about 300 people now watching us right now live. And they're part of our community too. Just like you, Mona, yes. They started, they're out there, and their word and their support makes the biggest difference for all that we do here live. I hear a lot of times people say, oh, I wish I could be out there protesting with you guys and all that. You know what? Everybody that's in live right now, you guys are always with us. Your support means so much to us, because just the other night I was at the Blue Building, and there was maybe 6 of us out there just protesting and just gathering, just having conversations and all that. And one person at a protest was like, well, there's only like 5 of us here. I'm like, no, there's not 5 of us here. If you go on our lives right now and see how many people are on our lives, we've got over, 15, 20,000 people right now watching us and supporting us. So everybody is, that's out there, that's watching us right now. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us. And I'm really excited about tonight because we're, Mona, came to us a little while, as she says, she's in the background, she's looking at things, she's discovering things, and she had an opportunity for us to actually go and speak our word and share our information with what's the look at me, I'm like, what's the name again? It's
Office of Inspector General.
Yeah,
who has
Inspector
all
General.
the purview over LAPD.
Right. So this committee here that's in Los Angeles, they actually look over all the stuff that's going on with LAPD, and they investigate any issues that might be going on. And so we were invited gracefully through Mona, got an opportunity to get invited. So we were invited to actually go there and share some information with them. With the conversation of where we're about to go, who would like to go ahead and describe the organization? Would you like Audit?
Sure. The OIG, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, the OIG is the Office of Inspector General. There's different offices of Inspector Generals, but this one oversight is an oversight for LAPD. So their main job is to make sure any investigations of any officers, anything going through our internal affairs is done correctly, procedurally, by the book, and they oversee it. They can at times initiate an investigation, and unlike other oversight committees, they may need to have court orders to be able to, or subpoenas. The OIG does not need those subpoenas. They are able to ask for records and get them, and they are like an oversight for LAPD.
And their two main purviews are individual claims and systemic issues. So we addressed both the individual claims and systemic issues that need to be changed.
And Mona, let's talk about, how did you get this appointment for us, or for you, and you brought Audit and I together to actually build a portfolio of information for them? How did this come about?
Sure. Well, looking at the different meetings that were available, the commissioners meeting for the LAPD was happening that next Tuesday morning, and I tapped emails to everybody. Hey, there's a commissioners meeting. Happened to get on with it online because you can testify online. Audit happened to be there, and she testified also. So between the two of us, and I think I was the last public testimony. The night before, I really was thinking I wasn't going to do it, but then the night before, that help sign flashed up in the window at the Blue Building, and it enraged me. I was so pissed off, excuse my French. I was so mad that somebody braved to put help in the window, and the police would show up and just throw it off like it was no big deal. That just pissed me off, that we left somebody, we, the community, the police, we left somebody in harm's way. So the next morning, that's what I brought up. And I was so mad. I said, I don't want it to go into just claims. I want this up to the OIG's office, kind of suggesting very heavily on that. And before they ended the meeting, the OIG himself stopped the meeting and said, here's my contact information. And we had a meeting within a day.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are in the chat that don't know this, I'm going to have Mona explain to you what the help sign in the window and where the help sign was.
It was at the Blue Building over, I just call it the Blue Building. It's where the big Scientology sign is, where all the steps
L.
and
Ron
stuff.
and Hubbard Way.
There you go. And I'm not from LA, so forgive me a little bit there. But somebody was walking around, I think it was Jessica Palmadessa. Somebody had seen the sign up in the window. A neighbor saw the sign in the window. And all the people that were watching with Jessica Palmadessa kept saying, call the cops. And so she finally did. The neighbors called the cops. It took them 45 minutes to get there. And then they went in, asked the security guard, everything okay? They said, everything's fine. They said, see ya. Okay, goodbye. And that's atrocious. That's completely horrible that you would do that to somebody. And the blue buildings, I believe, are, and correct me if I'm wrong, where the Sea Org, where other people live, that's where they live. And those are the ones that they really need to get out.
Well, and there's a lot of people that live there that actually they're in bunk beds and they're like three high. And a lot of these people are, way late in their golden years. And you can only imagine the conditions that they're living in, the stress that they're living in, and having to climb up on a bunk bed to go to bed with amongst, 5 others or even more people. I've heard maybe up to 12 people into a room. And it's horrific. So that person reaching out, for them to be able to reach out like that, is a huge deal, because if they were to get caught with that sign or get caught, and I'm sure
they did, because they were scraping it off. Yeah.
I mean, OSA right now is watching us. I always say that, when we're doing a live like this, we've got OSA watching. Hi, OSA. Hope you guys are doing well today. Let's get you out of there. If you want to come out, we can help you get out. But yeah, you can only imagine what that person, went into. Maybe they even got thrown into the hole. Do they still have the hole? I know Serge is in the chat right now. Serge, is the hole still around? So I can only imagine the strength and the anxiety that person might have been going through to be able to do that. So, so I love that, everything happens for a reason. It kicked you into gear where you're like, wait a second, this has to stop. I mean, I go back to imagine the kids in there that can't write the word help yet, that are in Scientology, in these, different spaces across the world, around the world. There's kids trapped inside these places that just can't consent. And that's our big thing, is to get these kids out. So,
so that's why under their purview of the individual claims, and then also the purview of systemic change and systemic issues that are of concern. Those are the 2 ways that we came in. At first, they wanted us to just file the claims. If anybody had claims, and I said, no, that's not going to work. That's just going to get swept under the rug again. No, we want to, please just give us an hour. Just to hear us out for an hour. That's all we want. 1 hour of your time. And they agreed to it. So they obviously thought something was behind there, because the other people that were giving public testimony were talking about dog poop in the lawn, and they didn't get time. So, we must be doing something good, right?
Well, what we did was just amazing, so Audit, Mona, and I'll give most of the credit to Audit. Mona really sat there in the background typing up in the different approaches that we were going to go on, our how, our what, our why, and what we were going to approach and how we were going to approach it. And our main goal is really to go in there and start a conversation, have a conversation with the OIG, and just really sit there and just start bringing awareness to them. Because once again, it was one of the crazy things that I noticed when we were in the meeting was, again, a lot of them, I went around the table and I asked a lot of the officers there that were in the meeting with us about how much did they know about Scientology. And it's a lot of unknown to a lot of people, that they just don't know what's really going on behind those closed doors. So with that said, who would like to take the first page of our approach on how we're holding this meeting, and we walked in saying, okay, here's our how, what, and why, and all that. Who would like to take the how, ladies?
I would like to take the part that I spoke on, like when it came to the CPAB and the police and stuff. And I want to give a shout out to Mona, though, because Mona did that. The work she put together, that was mostly Mona. I would just say, well, I would maybe add this, or this is the right terminology, and stuff like that. But Mona did an incredible amount of work in this, links and viewing all these, everything. So that credit goes to Mona.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But it really was brought on for the other reasons and the mission that we have to get this done. It makes me embarrassed to even think of that. So I don't mind taking the first page. We did put a presentation together. It's something we left them with hard copies. We also gave them a digital copy. I don't know if Michael's going to put it up or not because I don't have access to that. But if you would like a copy so that way you can replicate it for your city or your state, we're more than happy to let you have it so that way you can change the facts and figures and use it as a guideline for your own area. Two places in specific: San Francisco, you really need this, and Chicago, you really need this. So don't be shy. And I had reached out to them and told them to watch this because it was something that they really need to sink their teeth into. So the first thing we wanted them to know is, why are we even there? Why should they even listen to us? And we all kind of thought different things on this. However, Michael and I came up, he came up with the idea just as I was saying the idea. And I was just thrilled because I said, what about the list? The list that you guys marched around the Celebrity Center with. If nothing else, there's 129 people on that list is our why. That's what we're there for. And so I did reach out to Liz Gale and ask her if we could use her picture. I don't know. Can you pop that up, Michael?
Hey, Serge, will you come in here a little bit and give me a little technical advice here on popping some images up for us? Let me get Serge in here real quick because he's really good at that. He always does these videos where he's pulling things up, and I'm trying to find it right now and I can't find it right now, and it's probably just a button I don't see. But yeah, and what was so beautiful is like, not only did we have the images. So can I get this? How do I get this there?
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, so we're looking at it right now.
Okay.
So
is it on?
Yeah, no, we're not, we don't have it up yet, but Serge is working on it right now. But yeah, one of the beautiful things was like when Mona mentioned, bringing up the list and all that with Liz, is that we actually even were able to bring the actual piece that Liz made with all the names on it that was carried all around Scientology. And what was wonderful is like with that list, with these 3 people that were in the meeting with us, I unrolled it right down the center of the table during the meeting, and it really made an impact because they had the list right in front of them, and they were able to see name after name. And then Serge and I just kind of like commented on each name that was unrolled there and just said, oh, here's this, this is where this person is. And it was just like, it really brought a visual to them. So I think we're getting close here.
So while you're still popping that up, it's the first page that she has on the receipt website that she has. And it's our why. And the list underscores our grievance against both Scientology and LAPD. The LAPD's biased and unjust practices have consistently denied due process to the children within Scientology, perpetuating a cycle of neglect and endangerment. And then we discussed who Liz Gale was, about Philip, the unveiling of it around the Celebrity Center.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Go ahead. It had gone from 129 names down now to 186 names and still growing. And then gave them a link. We had sent them the links to the different topics before we had met. And the claims, so that way we could just talk. We didn't have to worry about discussing claims or discussing links.
Yeah.
So then go ahead.
I just want to let you know, Mona, on the screen right now, people can actually see the list that we brought in, and then the receipt that you did that Children Scientology LAPD failed. So we've got that screen up right now if you don't see it yourself.
Okay. Can you bring up the next page?
Yeah. Which one do you want to go to next?
The officers in front of the barricade.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Or what?
Or what? Yep. Where are they?
So our goal with them, the things that we wanted to address when we're done and said with this, to terminate the relationship between LAPD and Scientology and the presence of children in Scientology, eliminate all forms of abuse, and prevent further deaths associated. So one of the pictures that really drew me was the day you had the Easter, and there's our lovely Jessica Palmadessa standing right there, and all of those officers standing there that were hired, and the LAPD and the public, they're looking at all this Easter happiness, and they see the Easter bunny and the Easter egg hunt and the Easter basket. But if you go to the next page, this is what those of us that are in the know and the children of Scientology see. They see those officers, they see the security guy, Odo or whatever his name is, they see them protecting the monsters, the rapists, the killers, the silencers. That's what they see. And I wanted those officers, I wanted those investigators to feel the difference. And to me, that I mean, I guess I could have made a better picture, but to me, this really summed it up.
Well, it's like so cold and so dark. I want to go back to the last picture for a second and just share with everybody that's in the room right now, live with us, is like you see the Easter egg bunny and you see the egg hunt and all that. This is a prime example of how Scientology grooms. And what they're doing with these events, such as an Easter Day event, is they're bringing in kids at such early ages, and they're creating a space where the kids are like, oh, wow, this is fun. This is great. With, the parents don't know that parents are from the local neighborhood, and these kids are coming in and they're seeing this Easter egg hunt, the bunny and all that, and they're being groomed, and they don't realize it because eventually they're going to be doing this every single year. They do this every year. They allow the public to come in and bring their kids. And really, the bottom line here is not really giving back to the community. It's in hopes of promoting new members in the future by grooming these kids and saying, wow, Scientology is fantastic. I want to be there. Look at all that they're doing. So this is part of their grooming. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
So while they're doing that, while they're hiring the police officers, while they're, this relationship didn't start this year. It started 50 years ago. It started when the safe point had started way long time ago. And we're not the first people to go in and talk about it. Probably not going to be the last, unfortunately. Hopefully we're the last. But we wanted to show them the bias that we see that's quite obvious of some obvious things, like the donations that the LAPD programs for money and property. Church of Scientology gets involved with all of the CPABs, the community boards. They use the COS literature in their policing. They used to hand out the Narconon policies and the Narconon literature. There was even a kiosk in in the Hollywood division for a while before they were made to take it out. They hire the off-duty police officers. That, excuse me, last LA Times article about former police chief Michael Moore giving the Church of Scientology the special meeting. And then, of course, the ritzy things like the church where Tim Tallman and Brian White were performing, where they get these big checks, where Karen Bass talked at the Church of Scientology. Those are all different areas where that relationship, where they instill themselves into the community and the government authority and the organizations, and they make it to where they're just in bed with them, to be real blunt about it.
I would like to, could I speak on this area? This is like my area.
Yeah,
I like to talk about.
Definitely.
It's very true. And I know firsthand, LAPD does have a very cozy relationship with Scientology. For those who don't know what the CPAB is, it's the Community Police Advisory Board. After the Rodney King incident, LAPD, to try to build a connection with the community, started the CPABs. And what they are, it's their own, they're directed and controlled by LAPD. Every division has one. And people from the community, you can apply to be a volunteer with LAPD. You have to go through a background check to get on the CPAB. And basically what you're then is you're a conduit between LAPD and your community. So LAPD would tell the CPAB what they want the community to know. And then the community is supposed to be able to come back and let LAPD know what they want to know. And that works in some levels, and some levels it doesn't. Like, from my experience before, like the LAPD doesn't really want to hear criticism. They don't want to hear where they're getting it wrong. They definitely, I know for a fact, a lot of people have pointed out that they don't want them using Scientology property, and they basically turn a deaf ear. They don't want to hear it because, I mean, they get it for free. So it's kind of one-sided. It's a one-sided relationship. But now Scientology, because their view is like you can't keep anyone off of CPAB unless, I guess, you don't have a bad background check, whatever. But if you want to serve, they're going to accept your service. So say, and say the president of one of the churches, you know, allegedly, okay, is on a CPAB, allegedly. Okay, they can join the CPAB, but then they're getting all this inside information. They're getting inside contacts and connections. So that president of that one CPAB, I mean, of the Scientology church, is on a CPAB, and so they are directly feeding information to the police, and they're getting the direct information from the police back to the community. That builds a a cozy little network right there. But then when you add that and Scientology, when they do that, because they're safe pointing, they have to, their job is to get into the community, whether it's boards, councils, chamber of commerce's, and say the said president is allegedly on a chamber of commerce as well, you know, and this is a common thing, but they don't go there representing themselves. They are representing Scientology. So say if I join CPAB and I attend this church and I attend whatever, I'm still representing, I'm myself representing the community. I'm not a representative of my church. Where with the Scientology, they don't do that. They don't represent themselves, that they are Scientologists who represent themselves. No, they are there representing Scientology in full, in their uniform, everything. And so then there's that, but then it goes further. So say you're this president, and you're on a CPAB, and they're talking about an event they want to have. I mean, who's going to get that firsthand information of what, that, oh, they're going to need, sorry, they're going to need a property for this event. Oh, here, you can use our property for free. It's state of the art. It's yours to use. So why not? I mean, it's like a mutual thing. So you can use it for birthday parties, retirement parties, whatever you need, it's there for you. And and then they also help with, like, like their literature, for because they're like, we're going to help you get rid of the drugs problems and the crime problems. We're here to help. We have this literature, by the way, that we have a very successful literature program. So here you go, LAPD. You can use this, and they do, and so it's, and then the fundraisers, and that's another way LAPD kind of gets their big budget. They get half of our city budget already, and it's increasing, but they kind of get a little backdoor money because through their pals, the police activity league, they raise funds. They go to all the different neighborhood councils asking for funds, and that's taxpayer money, by the way. When a neighborhood council is giving out the purpose grants, that's taxpayer money. And so pals will come and say, oh, well, we need some money for the LAPD cadet program. So there's 99 neighborhood councils. So imagine if they all donate $5,000 each, or that, whatever. That's a nice chunk of change, and it's a backdoor way of getting money in. And then you'll have the Scientology say, "Oh, here, we're going to honor PALS, the director of PALS, because they've done such a great work fundraising for LAPD programs, or whatever they're doing. Sometimes it's equipment, and so that so we're going to honor the PALS at the Scientology." So it's this weird network that, and it creates favor. It does, because I did ask the IG second in command. I said, if someone's giving you $20,000 check, for fund, they just fundraise for a youth program. They're giving you their property. If I were to give you my yacht and all this money, I don't have a yacht, but I'm just making a point. It's going to be harder for you to turn down my phone call. You know, if I'm having issues with, okay, I'm being protested now, and I'm having, you know, I need your help. And I believe, you know, allegedly, I just, my personal belief is that because of that deep connection with CPAB and the police, that a lot of these calls that are coming, these arrests that are being made, and we all see that it's unfair, but it creates a bias, you know. And I personally feel that if they're allowed to be on CPABs, they should not be allowed to donate property, help fundraise, do anything like that. It should be very separate. And so that was one of the things I really discussed with them, and I think they heard it, because it, for me, it's an ethics issue. You know, it's a kind of you won't say bribery, upfront bribery, but it's a
It's
level of
bribery.
gifting. Yeah, it's a level of gifting. I was trying to be nicer, but it's a level of gifting that can lead to bias. And, you know, if you go to the Hollywood station, you know, like Mona said, they did have they were, Corey Palka, the previous captain, did allow a kiosk for Scientology. And it was an atheist group, or a person that went and got it, you know, forced them to remove it. They didn't just, you know, remove it because people were offended. They removed it because they were forced to. And they don't care about, like, even like I came across them at I live streamed it. They were doing etching your car, like your something on your car, you know, catalytic converters. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I asked the detective, I'm like, This is a Scientology property. Why are you here?" You know, and they're like, and he's like, "Well, they let us have the property." I'm like, "Well, there's lately with the economy, there's plenty of parking lot places that, you know, you could use that's not Scientology." And, you know, he goes, "Well, it is what it is," but he goes, he did admit that a lot of people were complaining about it being at Scientology. And I think that's a lot efforts too. People are starting to learn about Scientology, and they're starting to say something, because he said they did get a lot of feedback that they were not happy with it. But even, you know, years ago, I know people were saying they don't want things at the Scientology sites. There's a lot of people who have been aware, and but they continue to do it. They don't care. And so that's what, you know, we're saying, that it basically, it does, it leads to favoritism. It leads to, because, you know, like Scientology, they're helping us with the crime, and, you know, fight the drug, you know, to help with drugs and all this. They're probably like, they're doing great things. So even if you were an officer and weren't fully aware what's going on with Scientology, you know, and you're just an average cop, you know, I can see how they could look great because of the safe pointing. But that's what we need to break. And that's why I like to go to the neighborhood council meetings and commission meetings and everything. I want to break that love affair where people, officers, everyone thinks that they're great. And we even discussed possibly, hopefully, at one point in time, being able to get some kind of training for LAPD on cults and cult behaviors and what to look for, you know, and stuff like that. So it's a work in progress. This is just the beginning, but I really believe it's going to, you know, it's going to lead to better things. Thank you.
Well, and that's why we're here, everyone, is we're here to bring awareness, and every little bit of awareness makes a difference. And I pulled up on the screen some of our complaints, but I brought it up mostly because you see down below, the 3 pictures down below, you can see there's the LAPD at is that the Christmas party, Mona?
Yes. Yeah, it
Audit?
was a Christmas party.
Yeah, so that's the Christmas party where they're having it at the Scientology building. And then next to it's where they received $20,000 from Scientology. The next one is a mayor here in Los Angeles, Karen Bass, you know, speaking on behalf of Scientology. You know, all these public people, they're always looking to benefit themselves more than benefit the public. And, you know, Karen's not there because of the public. She's there because they know that they have a big influence in the community and she wants their vote. And so, you know, she's out there spilling her stuff. And, you know, this was during the last election. And at one point she tried to remove herself from all this. And then their running mate brought all these photos up and brought all these comments to her. So before we go further, Mona, did we get Mona? What's your YouTube, Mona? Your channel? Is it at Mona MMCALEESE?
2884 or something like that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So Maria, yeah, if you could go ahead and post that back, that's Mona's channel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so that's what that was our whole goal, is to walk into the committee and actually bring awareness to this committee. And it was one of the most beautiful things. We all walked away from there. Mona was she was streaming in, and Audit and even Serge joined us as well during this meeting. And it was like, really, when we walked out, at first we didn't think we were going to get far or make a difference, but when we walked out, we all kind of had the same experience where they're listening. And it seems that there's a lot that we don't even know that they're investigating with the LAPD and Scientology that's going on behind the scenes. But just the fact that we brought all this information right in front of them, the fact that we were able to even, let me get this picture back up. I mean, seriously, I took this picture right here, I actually brought in the actual scroll that Liz had made, that they walked around Scientology building, and we rolled it right down the center of the table. And when people saw it, when the three people saw it, they were just kind of like looking at it going, wow. And then when I started going down the list, and Serge would correct me from time to time on, certain elements I didn't have right on the person, but when they started hearing what was going on with each one of these kids and where these kids are today, they just kind of like, you could see that it just, we brought a message to them that they had never seen before. And it was really brilliant, because when we were walking out, all the people that were in the meeting with us, they all came up to us and they're just like, yeah, we can't say anything, but there's a lot going on. So, all our voices, all the people that's in our chat today, all our voices make a difference. And so I just wanted to bring this back up, because it's just like, it was really a special meeting, because, first we thought about including several other people, but we wanted to, we kind of backed off of that whole concept of bringing a bunch of people into the meeting. We wanted to keep it calm. We wanted to keep it cool. We want to keep it collected. And one of my main goals was actually to go in there and just, bring a commonality of information to them, and actually bring awareness to them and start a conversation with them. And that's exactly what we walked out with. We started a conversation. And what was really nice is, in the days after, they were actually emailing Mona and asking for more information, or maybe for another video. And so they're in communications now with us slowly, but we are actually making a difference. And that's what you in the chat right now are supporting. All of you people here watching us today, Mona, Audit, we're all just, baby steps. I always say baby steps, because, the kids can't consent, and our goal is to get the kids out. So I want to go ahead and move forward with our PowerPoint here and just go. So here, our next one. So we saw this, but what you see up above here, who would like to discuss this? Would you, Mona, or Audit? Would you guys like to discuss
I think we already discussed this one.
Did we, all the bullet points? Okay,
yes,
great.
We already went through that one. Go to the next page. So this is where we had left off, and this is where we talked about the safe pointing. And the safe pointing, what it causes, that relationship causes a systemic bias, unjust outcomes, the endangerment of lives, and a cost factor. And so we just briefly, one page each on each of those. The systemic bias, if you want to go ahead and flip to the next page. These are some claims that I personally submitted, even though I'm 3,000 miles away, they let me do it. I submitted a claim against LAPD through the OIG to have these claims investigated. Now, we did have to have some claims, because that's originally what the whole spiel was about. And by no means does this make any of your personal endeavors or personal claims obsolete whatsoever. This is just our claims, us, the three of us, saying LAPD botched these claims. And we want resolution. We want something done. We want investigations. The two, if you want to go ahead and go down to the next page.
Oh, let's see. Let's go back here. Audit, I would love for Audit to jump in on these claims right here. If you guys could see on March 13th, 2024, Audit has a claim, color of law. And
We were going
that
to
was
talk
a
about
big
that
one.
on the next one, but okay.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, okay.
So these are the 4 claims that we went ahead and went through, saying that these were serious enough to cause undue justice. 2 of them were Josiah, the Daniel one. We all know that, where the skateboard guy ran over him with the skateboard, and then the color of law. And that's very important that I think audit needs to talk about.
Okay. For those who don't know what color of law is, it's basically acting under authority when you don't have the authority. And it's really important when it's a police officer or somebody, who does this, because if they don't have the authority in that moment to give police orders, but they're acting as if they do, that's called color of law. And so I don't know how much I should say. Should I just tell
Right.
the story? Well, we were at
Well, Audit, do you want me to play the video?
that would help, because can I set it up real quick? Basically,
Yeah, set it up.
we were at the hearing for the La Poubelle, their CUP. It wasn't it was their hearing at the commissions, the planning commission hearings, and to our surprise, Senior Lead Officer White was there, which was shocking to me, because knowing LAPD very well, they're where they belong. He's a Hollywood officer, Senior Lead Officer, and Hollywood division is under West Bureau, because every division, there's a bunch of divisions under a certain bureau. There, he's under West Bureau. But this meeting, I'm like, this is City Hall. City Hall is Central Division in Central Bureau. So out of division, out of bureau. And I'm like, what is going on here? For the moment I saw him there, I was like, what the heck? And then I think, okay, maybe he's there. Maybe La Poubelle hired him for some reason, because you can hire, and that's another thing we didn't cover, is that when you're LAPD, you can work overtime in uniform and be hired. The taxpayers do not pay for that. The people who are hiring them pay for it. So La Poubelle could hire him, I guess, as a off-duty officer. In that case, he would not be wearing his camera, and he would have limited jurisdiction. He'd be working as a security guard, not as a police officer, with his duties. And so, as far as I understand with that, but he was there, and at the end, when you're going to see the video, when Michael was getting very passionate, because he was that with the ADA issues, they had already moved on, because they gave him an adjournment. They gave him, they're going to come back in November to continue their case. And so they asked, well, they're like, when he was getting passionate, they're like, well, we need to move on. Can you guys leave and, come back? We want to hear from you, but come back in November. And you'll see Slow White, coming and giving them direct, shushing him out. And I'm like, why is he doing that? Like, he's not in his division, And so you watch the video, and then after I saw this, I wrote to his superiors and just asked, I said, did he have a legal authority to be there in uniform giving directives? Because once a police officer gives you a directive to leave, any reasonable person would be under the assumption a police officer is telling me to leave. If I don't, I'm risking arrest or a ticket or something. So that's where color of law comes in. You have to have that authority in that moment to give a police command in uniform. And so I just asked, and I'm like, if he had the authority to be there, ignore this email. But if he did not have the authority to be there, then I would like to, bring this forward. And I believe they're bringing it forward because, and
Yep.
so whether or not he had the authority, I guess it'll have to be investigated. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. Everyone's innocent. And I want to say this, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So just because we're putting in these complaints and putting everything in, everything is alleged. I have to be careful with that. So we all do. So it's just, we're asking them to look into it, because if it was a color of law incident, then that's not good.
Yeah. So this was at the Planning Commission downtown LA, and Serge, myself, and many others joined the protesters there because La Poubelle was trying to get an extension on their patio for serving alcohol. And so we were just there just to kind of like bring our voice as the local neighborhood, just saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is the chaos that's been going on. And so while we're there, I think because they saw that we were there, they had either plan A or plan B, and because they saw that we were there, they decided they were going to go plan B and ask for a continuance of this because there was too many protesters there that were going to get up and stand against it. So I think they instructed their representative to go ahead and pull the trigger on the extension. And because of that, I was sitting there because I was so passionate about being there, and I'm so passionate about our cause, that I turned around, and I don't know where this came from, but Audit had just finished sharing her information. And after I heard Audit and knowing Audit on the streets and all that, and being disabled with her wheelchair, I was just like going, oh my God, I saw a window, and this is the video. So I'm going to go ahead and share it with everybody right now. There's no audio. We're trying to get. Oh yeah, we're trying to work on it. Okay, so it looks like we don't have. I don't know why we don't have sound right now. We're working on that, guys.
Okay, while you're working on that, could I just add one little thing? They did go in knowing that they were going to ask for a postponement because they prepared and asked for, I guess, weeks earlier, or at least a week earlier, and they did blame the protests, and they even had a picture like in their application to postpone it, a picture, of the protesting and stuff like that. So they're saying that they feel that the protesters are going to create an undue bias because they figured we'd be there. So they came in knowing they were asking for this, but they had to go in person to formally request it.
Okay, I think we don't have audio on this, but I'm just going to go ahead and summarize this really quick. So you see that. So I spoke up. I stood up and I started speaking out of turn because once they postponed it, then we didn't have our opportunity for all the protesters to get up and give 2 minutes of their input to the situation of them extending their hours. And so I got up and I started talking about how they pushed their tent out, and they left just very few feet there for someone that is disabled and in a wheelchair to get by. And then they've got a guard in front standing, and then they have street signs. So it really makes it really, really unaccessible for anybody that's trying to get by there in a wheelchair, let alone just people walking by. It's this cluster. So they pushed their tent all the way. And so I really got passionate about this. But like Audit said, the moment we walked into this hearing, the last person we expected to see was Officer White. And he was standing there, and he wasn't there in plain clothes or his own civil clothes. He was actually sitting there in his complete uniform with his badge. And so we're like, my first thought is like, oh my God, why is he here? He has, he's out of jurisdiction. He's not in Hollywood. We're downtown LA. And then when I started speaking up, the young lady said, you're out of turn. You can't speak up. And I was like, well, I couldn't stop myself from speaking up. And I just continued to speak. And at one point, she asked us to leave the room, and I was still speaking. And then that's when Officer White, and I'm going to go ahead and come down to the end here so you can see where he actually, let's see here. There's Officer White right there walking up to us, telling us, let me go here now. Let me share the screen. Back here. Okay, let's go here and share screen. And so here you can see Officer White sneaking in front of us. Meanwhile, he's been standing on the side this whole time. And then all of a sudden they asked us to leave. And then Officer White acts as if he's on the clock and then starts instructing us to remove ourselves from the room. And I actually got up and left because I thought I was going to get arrested. That's the last thing I wanted to do. And you can see me here. You can see the other protesters walking out here. And we were just like, we just couldn't believe what just happened. And so once again, we were instructed by Officer White, and going back to what Audit was talking about, the color of law. Did Officer White was he in the right position to be asking us to leave the courtroom when several of the other protesters there as well, we all felt like we were going to get arrested, especially after all the swatting that's been going on and all the arrests that have been going on. We just knew that, okay, this is our time to get arrested. And that's not what we were there to do. We were there to help, the community and to protest against La Poubelle. So that I wanted to bring this video up just so you guys can see it. I apologize. There's no sound. I'm going to have to check in. It's probably some wire that I'm missing or something like that. But Audit, why don't you go ahead and take it over from there?
Okay, so yes, you can see he does direct everybody out. Now, if he is working as a security guard for or some kind of thing for La Poubelle, then my question is why it wasn't the La Poubelle people asking them to leave. It was the commissioners person asking everyone to leave. So he was shushing everybody out based on the commissioner's personnel wanting everyone to leave. Well, he wasn't. I don't believe. Okay, unless they could prove me otherwise, I don't believe he was there on behalf of the commission. Because why wouldn't the commission hire if they wanted security? First of all, I believe they would probably have their own court security, which would but wouldn't they hire police officers from Central Division? And they wouldn't need to pull Hollywood cops, especially one that's, happens to be friends with the La Poubelle owner, And can I jump real quick too to say that, at the neighborhood council, like a week or so ago, he spoke to me afterwards. I was not on, sadly, I was not online anymore, but he was really trying to convince me that we should not be protesting La Poubelle. So there's definite connection. There's a definite friendship or whatever. And so I believe he was there as her friend, but he was not there. I do not believe with all my heart that he was there for the commission. I believe they would have their own people. And so for him to be giving commands to leave, because I would be, I would have known enough right there to say, well, do you have the authority to do that? Because I would know he's out of, but most people weren't going to know that he's out of division and that they don't cross division. Not most people, the average person's not going to know this. They're going to feel that I'm going to be arrested and I need to obey. This is a cop. He's LAPD. I'm in LA. I need to go. And so that's a huge concern for me. And so that's why I asked them to look into it. Whatever, we'll see where it lands, but that's pretty serious in my book.
It is, because it really causes a lot of intimidation. It truly does.
Well, and it's a federal offense. It's a federal offense for him to be, if it's color of law, that's a federal offense.
You can go to prison for 20 years if found guilty of it. You can.
And this is all this is the LAPD tactic, once again, to scare us, to put us in our place, to, not have us speak up. And so that's why, all that we're doing behind the scenes and bringing the awareness to, that's what we're here for, is to bring the awareness to the public, to bring the awareness to, now the, OIG, to be bringing this information to them and letting them know what we're seeing on our side, because really what we want to do is we want to help them, help us, help them. Let's put the police where they're supposed to be. Let's not have the police be private security guard for a restaurant. And this is not the first time we've seen this, you guys. We've seen this out in the Valley at an event that they had. I remember I was talking to two officers there, and I directly asked them, I'm like, are you guys on the clock or are you guys off duty? And all of them said that they were on the clock to me. Well, at the end of the evening, what did they do? They all got into their private cars. Well, if they were on the clock, they would not be getting into their private car. So right there's like this, this lack of integrity of like, why didn't they just say we're off the clock and we've been hired privately by Scientology? What was the conflict there? So it's just kind of like these kind of shenanigans that we see all over the place with the LAPD. And I personally know this from just growing up because my father was an LAPD officer, and I saw a lot of times he would always work off the clock, and he'd work for the movie business, which wasn't harmful at that point. He wasn't doing anything wrong like these guys are doing, I think. But it's like he was making more money off the clock than he was on the clock doing these side gigs, and it's like a great source of income for them. But when they get so enmeshed that they're blinded by the badge and Scientology, that's where we're drawing the line. We're saying no more. I mean, there's no more relationship. We want to stop the relationship between LAPD and Scientology. And I say this LAPD, but it doesn't just stop there with LAPD. It's across the US. It's around the world. The first thing Scientology does is they make friends with the local police department. They give them donations. They give them their properties to use for their holiday parties. They become pal and pal because the first person that's going to get the call back from is the people that are supporting the police is going to be Scientology in Los Angeles. And it happens. I've seen it even in Florida when I was there with Serge and we were meeting the police there. They were I was like, you guys are not listening. I mean, I was like going, what is wrong? And it was before I really got really deep into this. It was when I first met Serge that we were down in Florida and he was there to do a police report and all that. And the consideration for Serge, the attention to give Serge the time that he should have deserved where he was there, you could see that something was up. And then once again, they were in the pocket of Scientology, and it shows even today down there. So it's just like our goal here with this, bringing this to the community, to the OIG committee, is to bring awareness. And I think we've done a great job. And I want to go ahead and bring up the other screen here so we can move along here.
Michael, can I just add to, before you,
Yes.
real quick, of that event in North Hollywood? Okay, I did a CPRA, which is like a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, but California style, on who paid those officers, and it was Scientology. It was almost $3,000 for that evening. So they were not on the clock. They absolutely were working overtime.
That kills me too, because I even have that on film where I'm asking them, are you guys on the clock or off the clock? And they're like, oh, no, we're on the clock. We're on the clock. And then when I saw them drive away, I was just like going, and once again, it just shows you how corrupt they are, because like even at that Easter festival that we had the pictures here, let me go there real quick.
That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, even like right here, if you guys look right here at this picture right here, and you look right down here over to the right here, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Oh, wait. How come that didn't switch? That should have switched pictures. No. Okay, let me get rid of that. Okay, here we go, right here. So right here. Okay, so if you look right at this next picture right here, right over here in this area right here, you guys see my mouse slowly moving? There's supposed to be a fire lane there. So in case there's anything that happens at the event, and I do events here in LA all the time, and I know the rules and regulations of what you're supposed to do and what you can't do. And there's supposed to be a 25-foot lane there in case the fire trucks or ambulance have to get down there. And they did not have that. And I asked these police officers right here in front, the ones standing right here, these guys right here in front of Jessica, I asked them, I said, can you please provide me with the permit? And they would not provide me with permit. And once again, that's against the law. They're supposed to provide you with the permit. If you request it, because they're saying, oh, the sidewalk's blocked off. If you ask me today, they didn't even pull a permit for this project. So this is the kind of stuff that the LAPD are supporting Scientology and letting them get away with. And that's my rant right there. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to where we were. We were here. Mona, where do you want to pick up?
Keep going. Right. No, go back up one. So we went through the claims. We went through all of that. The third area was lives at risk. No more of the children in Scientology, no more. We provided them with the video of Serge Delmar and Aaron when they were talking about the auditing sessions, which absolutely made me barf. I was just so incredibly disgusted with anybody that could do that to children. Sometimes words can't even describe it, but we've provided that video for them. And I asked Serge straight up in the meeting, because it's so easy to say, this happened a while ago, this happened in the hotels, this happened. And I said, Serge, is this happening today? And Serge said, every day, yes, it is. Those LAPD have the responsibility to protect these children every single day. This isn't past. This is today. This is today. We want to eliminate this. No more of this. And then the final part of the lives at risk is all of the swatting and false calls. One of these times, one of these kids, one of these newbies that is protesting, they're not going to understand what to do in a swatting. Something's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen, either to the protester. I mean, look at poor Scotty. I know he can be flamboyant. I know he can be demonstrative. He can get all of his words going quite healthily. But there's always that risk. Look how many times he's had a gun pointed at his head. You'd have two wet spots if that happened to me. One for my tears and one where I pissed myself, because I would be scared out of my wits. I don't know that I would do the right thing. Of course, they'd have to get me out of my wheelchair first. But still, somebody's going to get hurt. And this cannot wait another year for them to investigate all of these claims. This needs to happen right now. And we told them straight up, if something happens, we told you so.
Yeah, Mona, you're talking about Scotty there. There was one time I was watching one of his lives and all of a sudden he got swatted, and it was frightening because exactly what you were talking about. I was so concerned for him because they had put him in the middle of the street. They had cars drive. They didn't stop the cars from driving by. They kept allowing cars to drive right by him. And I'm like, what if someone's on their phone and they're texting or something like that? They could run over him. That's where he was in the street. And it was just like you said, one of these times the swatting is going to end up, unfortunately, I hate to say it, someone's going to get drastically hurt or even killed by this because of the lack of care that, the swatting has to stop. I mean, once again, it's the corrupt police that's in there that are doing this. They're taking, I don't know where they're getting their calls from, but over and over, Audit and I were at another city meeting, a couple of months ago. And we're sitting there, we're actually explaining to them what was going on about swatting and all that. And sure enough, within 5 minutes, there was firemen coming into our meeting saying, oh, there's a gas leak. We were here, a report of a gas leak. And it's like, no, it was, once again, it was a bogus call.
Right.
Can I interject there too?
Yep.
I did bring that up at the meeting that, and I try to be fair on all sides. I try, but I told them, I said, these swattings, I said, we want these dealt with. Like, don't think that we want this. We don't, because not only are we all in danger, but I said also it puts the public in danger, but it even puts your own personnel. If you're overseeing LAPD, it puts them in danger. It puts LAFD in danger, because you just never know. Anything could happen, and you never know what it could take. Where it would be someone would get hurt or killed. So it's in everyone's best interest that this gets taken care of. And at the last neighborhood council meeting, I was talking to I think it was the deputy chief of LAFD, telling him we need this resolved, we need this investigated. And he says, that's not what we do, but he said there's an open task force looking into it. And I believe Zach Ellison actually, I think he's like looking into that. But but the OIG, they're not allowed to tell us what they're doing. So we can't. I don't know whether or not there really is a task force, but according to LAFD, there is, to deal with the swatting, because even they're noticing it. There's a lot of calls at Scientology locations.
Yeah, and so the fourth area, go ahead.
I want to touch one more thing because it's got my brain, me going here. is going back to Danny. Was, we were talking about Danny earlier about him getting run over by the scooter man. And, the moment I was live with him, I was watching him live. And the moment I saw that, I immediately went back to my videos. And a month prior, the same exact guy on the scooter tried to do this to me. And this was when I first started going live, and I didn't know about how Scientology would send out plans to attack us and all that. And so I actually went back through my videos really quick, and I captured the moment. I sent it to his fiance so that she could have it, and she wanted to show it to the police. They wouldn't even give her the time of day to take a look at the video to see that this guy was not just a passerby on his scooter going do. He was actually a plant, because he did it with me, and you can actually see that on my early lives. And I even did like a little short on it called The Scooter Guy or something like that. But I just wanted to bring that back up, and I think this is a great segue to go in after what we've been talking about, the swatting and all that, to our next frame right here. Mona, you want to take this away?
You bet. So I went through, and I know I've talked with several people about costs on this, and they say this is extremely conservative and way too low. But I did use their data, so that way they couldn't argue with us. I used their data of their budgets from last year and the year before, and then the amount of calls that they took for the LAPD, LAFD, the ambulance, and then the air. They did their own audit. So if you take it, you divide it all out conservatively, every single LAFD call is $1,600. Every LAPD and ambulance call is $1,200. And the air is $3,000, the airships. So I went through, Grizzy, go lay down. Go lay down, buddy. Sorry, we're getting visitors. So I went through all of the videos that I could find that had false calls, the swattings, and frankly, I got tired of doing it because there were so many of them. I stopped at 54. I think I'm up to 68 of them now. And at the time of this, I was at $160,000. And today I'm up to $190,000, adding the last couple of days in. That's a lot. That's a chunk of change. That's a chunk of change out of the city budget that somebody can get hurt over. And they're daily. Some of them are 2 or 3 a day in different spots of false calls. And I'm going to be real honest. I think I'm missing 2 of Scotty's swats. And so we're probably over $200,000 already, just on a very conservative budget. And if anybody's interested in that spreadsheet, I'd be more than happy to share that.
And that's one, $200,000 represents one officer for an entire year. So, you can either do all the SWAT calls or hire a police officer, like a seasoned police officer, for an entire year. His salary, that's a lot.
And really the cost really is, it's the amount. That's just January, or not even January, the beginning of January, because you guys didn't really start till the end of January and the beginning of April. That's 3 months. 3 months, almost 55 calls.
And that's just here in Los Angeles. This is, statewide, around the world, this is going on. It's just like you see it all over the place. And it's just the amount of resources that are getting wasted by protecting Scientology is just unheard of, and it has to come to an end.
So using those 4 different concepts, we came up with some takeaways. These are things that we want to see from this meeting, that if you want to flip it to the next page,
I'm trying to get
these are our takeaways. And they were very very well taken. One, let the protesters protest peacefully and without bias, because there's such a huge bias. Investigate and prosecute the claims that we've brought forward. Investigate and prosecute the false claims and swatting. Draw a tighter line for LAPD and the community events. end LAPD's security detail relationship. And then the sixth thing is we would like to have somebody on their police training for their police cadets. You know, whether it's Serge or Michael or Liz or Nora, you're excellent at this. To come in once or twice a year whenever they have the academies. It only takes a couple of hours, but it certainly puts that word out for victim training, for cult training, how to identify the cults and the victims. You know, that makes a huge inroad there. So that's something that, I mean, I've done training for years. I could even help somebody put a training together. But those are our takeaways, and that's what we want. That's what we wanted out of the meeting.
And,
besides the relationship.
Yeah, besides the relationship. Yeah. And, I think, this first meeting with, the OIG and Audit and Mona, and Serge, it went so well. It was better. I think I think it blew us all away at how well it went, and the response that we actually received after the meeting was over by each single one. Like Audit was with one, I was with one, Serge was with another one. We were talking after, our meeting was over, and just the information they said that we can't tell you anything. We can't tell you anything. And I know they can't tell us anything, but they kind of like, you could just see through their eyes, and you could see what they were trying to express is like, they're looking into this, and we just have to be that fire underneath that, be that fire underneath them and just keep them aware. And that's what we said. We're here to help you, help us, help you, because by us helping them, they're going to help us in the end. And our goal is, once again, is to dissolve that relationship that's so tightly, knitted together with Scientology and LAPD. I remember being in the Hollywood division with someone that was filing a case, and the sergeant there was looking at us, and he's like, our job is to stay in the center, right in the center of this, so that, we're not biased on either side and all that. And within 5 minutes, the same sergeant looks at me and goes, but I do have to say, you guys are really difficult, and you guys are really causing a lot. Well, where's your bias right there, sir? I asked him, and he didn't have anything to say. And that's what we're here to take down. We're done with this, and we are standing up. And thank God for these ladies, Mona and Audit, to be here doing what they're doing in the backgrounds every single day. And we're preparing our next movement, and our next movement. So I just want to say, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you, Audit, for being here and all that you've done. Mona, thank you for coming on board with us and sharing all your wisdom. And we love that you're here, and you're there in the background doing all this hard lifting. We really, really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and start closing out the room, but I want to give Audit a moment and Mona a moment to say some last notes or any thoughts you guys may think. Audit?
Yeah, I just want to keep, sorry for the plane overhead if you hear that. I just want to keep focused on moving forward. I really want to continue with neighborhood council meetings. There's things I want to get involved with, ethics, as far as the ethics of CPAB and what, and the connection between CPAB and Scientology. I want to deal with, the control. I would like to meet with the controller with all of us or something to talk about the financial burdens. I want to continue fighting from behind. I want to try to get certain legislation going. I'm going, I want to work behind the scenes to really try to work the area of influence that I'm aware of. I know what, that's more than what I'm used to. Sorry, I'm like stuttering. I don't know how to say this, but as much as I love to go out and protest, which I still plan on doing, because it's, I want to do that as well. But I really, when you don't see me out there, don't think I'm not doing anything. I'm working hard behind the scenes because there's a lot I want to do to try to make a difference in that world as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
And
we
thank you,
appreciate
everyone.
you,
And thank
Audit.
you for all the support. I mean, everyone, like, I don't think that people watching know how much it helps us when you comment and you just support you when you're viewing and you're helping. That is such a help. Like it can get disheartening, like especially like for me, like Lapu Bell is like really a hard one to be at for me, and just all the support and love, it's just it's overwhelming sometimes. And I want to thank you, and I also going to plug that, and Bike Guy thanks you too, for what you all did for him with the bike. But we're all grateful, and I want you to know that you are just as important and you're in the trenches with us. You literally are. And so thank you.
Okay, Mona.
And I appreciate both of your hard work. Thank you so much. I really, when Mindy was first involved, and then you guys, and we were a team. Now, on a federal level, I've already started the next step on the federal level. We're working this on both ends, the micro and the macro, and already made a claim against the Department of Justice OIG for a lot of these same reasons. So we're going there next. We're going to do this. But I'd like to read something that I wrote. It's very short, but I feel like I'm part of this community. And I do get asked quite often, who are we? What gang are we? Are we a hate gang? No, we're not. But who are we? And we're a multi-gender, multi-generational, multinational, multi-belief, multi-geopolitical, multimedia, multi-tech army of individuals. In essence, this question of who we are can only be answered by who am I? And I am the person that was murdered through suicide, abuse, neglect, and trauma from Scientology. I am the child that grew up in Scientology that was sexually, mentally, and physically abused. I am the child my handlers told me my father was dead, only to find out he was still alive 20 years later. I am the child that was told never report to authorities, it'll jeopardize saving the world. I am the Sea Org resident that braved putting a help sign in the window, and you left me there. I am the child that worked like a slave in the Sea Org. I'm an ex-Sea Org member. I'm a Sea Org member working 100 plus hours a week for $65. I'm a Scientologist that wants to leave the religion, quote unquote, but held captive because of my freeloader debt. I am the Scientologist that wants to leave but has to weigh losing my whole family if I do. I am a current Sea Org member living under the radar and wanting out. I am the mother, father, son, daughter, family member, spouse of someone held captive, and I'm fighting for them. I am a never-in advocating for justice. I am a never-in because it could be me or somebody I love. I am a never-in from the LA area, the nation, and the world. I am me. I am we. Thank you guys for letting me be a part of your group.
That's beautiful,
Oh,
Mona.
Mona,
It's
that
really
was
beautiful.
beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Yay, Mona. Yes. Yeah, you guys, thank you everybody for joining us today. If you're not following Mona, be sure to follow Mona. She needs the subs right now to boost up her numbers so she could start going live and share these beautiful words like she just did with us right now. And once again, it's at MMCALEESE 2844. And I know a lot of you are following Audit in LA, and you guys are subbing to my channel. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your support. Everybody, just by being here and just by sharing this moment with us. And I always say, go out and share this with a few of your friends. Let's create a network that's so worldwide that, when these kids get out, we've got the arms across the world to capture them. So with that, I want to say good night, everybody. Thank you again. It's been so nice having you guys today to this evening, wherever you are in the world. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, and we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.